it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today is, let me think, the recording this in advance really doesn't get my brain going, 2nd of January 2018. So Merry New Year, or Happy New Year, I guess that should be. Today is the last day before I can show you the inside of the catalogue for the Spring, Summer and Celebration catalogue, if that makes sense. So I still can't show you the inside of the new catalogue. I can show you product, but I can't show you the inside of the catalogue. Anyway, but I thought I would show you one of the cards that I've made with this stamp set, which is called Bird Banter. It's such a fun set. It's for all those bird lovers everywhere. It was actually one of the sets that I got as a gift when I went to on stage in November. Gosh, that feels like an age ago. I can't remember if this was a prize patrol. I think it was a prize patrol. Anyway, I was thrilled to get this one. And this is the little card that I've put together. I'm going to do a similar but not exactly the same card for you again. It uses the blends. So I'm going to do the stamping, and I've done a Blue Peter special of one I've prepared earlier, because you do want the black ink, the memento, to be properly dry before you go in with the blends, otherwise it will bleed a little bit, or potentially will. Do not use archival black with blends, because that absolutely will bleed. But I hope you can see. Let's see if I bring this closer. You can see how that blends beautifully. I have used a few of the colours, but I'm actually going to cut one out. So let's get started. I have already mounted up the stamps that I'm going to use, which are basically the same stamps, but I'm actually going to cut out the heart. I decided I didn't really like it, particularly with this saying, so I'm not going to use it. So and I'm going to do a slightly different colourway as far as mounting the card is concerned, but I'm starting with a piece of basic black and a stamping piercing mat, because even though this is a padded surface, it is in desperate need of its New Year's clean, which I haven't given it. It's got lots of little lumps and bumps, so I'm going to use my piercing mat just so that I know I'm getting a good impression. As ever with photopolymer, my strong recommendation would be that before you stamp in earnest, you either clean all your stamps or stamp them off and then use them again. You know, as in, don't stamp with the very, very first time you use them straight onto your card. There can be a bit of a residual finish on the photopolymer from the manufacturing process, so just make sure you get rid of that, is really what I'm saying. So, piece of Whisper White. All the dimensions, as ever, will be on my blog post, which is linked below, and it's the blog post that's for this video that's linked below, no having to find it anywhere. So I'm changing this. The original, if you see here, was in Old Olive, Pizzazz even, and I've decided I don't really like the look of that, so I am using basic black. I think if I'm using basic black on everything else, it looks better if I use basic black there. So that's that. Let's just clean that on my lovely Stampin' Scrub. So that's all nicely clean. Don't need to unmount it. Then I've got one of the little budgerigars. I used to have a budgerigar as a pet when I was small. I say I, my brother and I, we had to share, and she was called Cola. Don't ask me why, but she was. And she was a green budgerigar. So that's that one. And then this is the other one. Excuse me, I'm going to have to cough. Had a little frog in my throat. And there's the other one. This one is very fractionally larger, but only fractionally. So, right, that's, oh no, I need to do the sentiment. if I had a brain, I would be dangerous. And I'm doing a sort of swirly, can you actually see that I'm doing that? Yes, you can. A swirly and then a tap tap on my memento, because then you get a good spread and you don't get too much of the pattern of the memento lifting onto the stamp. And just, you're the kind of friend I'd share my branch with. And not only are they are, if you see what I mean. So that's actually all the stamping I'm going to do. And then I'm going to bring in the Blue Peter Special, which is here's one I prepared earlier, because this one needs to just do its final bit of drying. So, as I say, I have used rather a lot of the blends because I've got them. Whether I use them all, what I'll do is, as I've used them, finished with them, I'll put them in my box so that I know which ones I've used and I can link to those in the product list. So, let's get started. I'm going to start with the yellow, this is the Dark Daffodil Delight, and this is going to be for our, actually let's see, can I zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing? And focus. Ooh, gosh, love it when a plan comes together. Right, so I'm going to have to make sure that I don't move the paper at all. So I'm going to just, and I'm using the bullet end. Actually, I'll show you that in a minute. I'll just finish colouring this in, and I'm colouring the whole of the head in. So this is the bullet end. Can you see that? Is it going to focus? Focus, focus, it's too close. Let's come back. Bullet end. And then this is the brush end. Now, when you're starting out, or if you're doing very small areas, I highly recommend the bullet end because it's got slightly less ink running to it. If you use the brush end, then you may find that it's giving you too much ink. This is ordinary Whisper White. This is not the thick. So just bear that in mind. I've now got the light pear pizzazz, and I'm just going to add some green to the back and then to the wing. And this is a real question. I'm going to take this now onto the chest. What you're doing is laying colour down and then going back and moving it around, as with any alcohol markers. So I'm going to come back with my Dark Daffodil Delight again, and I do tend to get into the habit of always putting the lids back on. I'm going to have a bit of yellow here, because if I always do that, then I will always remember to do it. Now, and if you don't put the lids back on, this is Pool Party. I just want a bit of a kind of bluer, more emeraldy hue. If you always remember to put your lids back on, then you'll always remember to put your lids back on. Right, a bit of dark Old Olive. Actually want a bit more of the blue, or the Pool Party I should say. This one's slightly darker than the earlier one, but that's fine. I'm going to bring that a bit into the wing. And then I've got the light Night of Navy, and this is where I'm going to be not a purist, because I know there's this whole thing about boys have blue beaks and girls don't, and I just want blue on both of them. Because they're talking about friends, so so that's that, which means I haven't used the pale yellow, so I'm going to put that aside because I know I'm not going to use it. I'm going to come in with the dark crumb cake and just do the beak. Now you can see, you may be able to, let me check through the camera, you may be able to see that I'm beginning to get a bit of running here. What I need to do, that's because I've been laying down too much ink. I'm not letting it dry in between. So I have got my lifter and I'm going to see, can I turn that? Yes, I'm still staying camera. I'm just going to very gently run that round the edge and push it back the other way. Which should resolve that problem. Let's get us back into the middle of the camera. There we go. Right. Okay, so I know I've used these ones already. So I'm now going to use the pale Pool Party. And I'm going to, this is the light, I suppose I should technically call it. Just going to colour in his head and his wings. And then a bit more of the Pool Party, but this time the dark Pool Party at the back of his head and on some of his wing. And then I'm going to bring that onto his chest. And again, I'm bringing in the navy, the light night of navy, just to, actually no, I wasn't going to do that, was I? I was going to use, no, I will can that. So, I want some light Bermuda Bay to just bring in some extra colour. Dark Bermuda Bay to do his tail. And dark Pool Party. Just to smooth the edges out a bit. And then crumb cake, dark, for the beak. And then dark old olive for the leaves. I'm not going to fuss about shading the leaves, they are very small. Doesn't need it. What I am going to see if I can do is just colour lift a little bit more on our right. Okay, so basically I used all of these. Let's come back out. There we go. Right, so I didn't use the pale Daffodil Delight, but I did use everything else that's there, including the colour lifter, so I will list those on the blog post. So there's our card all coloured in, and that's actually all I'm going to do. This is going to be a real fresh air one, you know, lots of white space. And if you look at the back, you can see why this colour has bled. So here we've got not very much colour coming through, but here we've got a lot of colour coming through, which is why it's bled. So if you do find that that's happening, let it dry, and then go back in with further colours, because you're just flooding the paper. Or in my case, I'm just flooding the paper. Right, so I've got a Daffodils Delight matte. As I say, all the dimensions are on my blog post. They're my standard sizes, so nothing exciting there. And as you will see, I put the fast fuse on the matte, because I do find that if I'm doing fast fuse and with Whisper White, as most of you may know, I do like Tombow multi-purpose, but for Whisper White, it can give a feel to the front of the card. So I tend to use fast fuse on Whisper White, and as I've got it out, I will use it all the way through. But what I have found is that if you put the fast fuse on the card, or on the larger thing, the larger mat or the piece of the card base, it's easier to line it up and then get it straight, because you're not lining up something that's sticky. So hopefully that made sense. So there we go, the original and the version we've done on camera. So we've got, this is Basic Black and Bermuda Bay, and this is Bermuda Bay and Daffodil Delight. I think they are really cute little cards, and they're all from our bird banter. So if you know anyone who's got who is a bird fancier, this would be ideal. Even if they're not a bird fancier, I think they're just so cute. And they were free, which is even better. And they've got a lovely selection of phrases. So we've got the "You're the kind of friend I'd share my branch with," which is the one we've used. Then still suspiciously young looking, I see. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. A little birdie told me it was your birthday, which you can then use with, obviously, and the inside still suspiciously young looking. Obviously it wasn't an early bird. Just a little toucan of my appreciation, happy birthday and thank you. So some really useful phrases, even if you're not using them with the birds. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you again soon. Oh, if you haven't subscribed, I'm going to have to cough again. If you haven't subscribed, there's a little button, subscribe button down in the bottom right hand corner. Please do. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet got your spring summer catalogue and would like me to be your demonstrator, please drop me an email. The contact details are on my blog post. Actually, there's a form on my blog post that you can just fill in, asking for a catalogue, and I'll pop those in the post to you as soon as I can. And remember that tomorrow the spring summer catalogue goes live, and we've got Celebration, and I'll give you details of how Celebration works tomorrow. Great, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you soon.